From deep in the irradiated wastes of the Mojave Desert, it's James Robertson and Makahlua Smith with That Podcast, a Fallout New Vegas gameplay diary. And we are again joined by fellow Fallout fan, Makahlua.
Well, I mean, it's from Fallout 3, but...
I was about to say, I don't think this is the Enclave.
Yeah, there's only a few Enclave members in Fallout New Vegas, and they're all old.
They're all old, and in my latest playthrough, Arcade got killed by a legionary.
Really?
He was trying to help people escape New Vegas, and they caught him.
Oh, you didn't give him over to Kaiser to do his brain surgery.
No. I did the surgery myself. It only takes 75 medicine.
So wait a minute, you have a guy with an intelligence of 3 and 75 medicine? How does that even work?
He read some books or something.
He's one of those, he's a Rain Man?
Look, it's not brain surgery. Oh, wait.
Yeah, wait.
He's good with knives, and this is just cutting a thing out of somebody's head. That's knife work.
Apparently he read picture book versions for the surgery.
So it was really fun doing the monorail mission from the Legion side of things.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well, you go and you meet Captain Curtis, and he says that he's worried that they're closing in on him, and he wants to pull off this one last thing, and if he can get away with it, then he might be able to keep doing more stuff. And so now that you've turned up, he can cast the suspicions on somebody else and make sure he's seen when the thing blows up. So you can basically help him keep his cover. So you pin it on, this is optional, you don't have to, you can pin it on some other kid, then go kill him, so that you can claim that he pulled a weapon on you when you confronted him. Then you wait for the shift change, which is the easiest way to get to the monorail, and go plant the bomb, watch it explode, come back in and go tell the guy in charge it was all the crappy soldier's fault, and Curtis gets to keep his position.
Okay. So you've now done, I guess, all 3 endings. So you said you've finished with Caesar.
Yep.
And you've done the house ending?
Yep. And the independent ending and the NCR ending. So there's really 4 endings. But
Right. I was planning to aim for the house ending in the one I'm playing.
yeah, it's not that different to the independent ending.
So how different is it? What ends up happening is different?
Well, you don't get the credit. House gets the credit. But apart from that, not much else.
You still kick the Legion and the NCR both out?
Yep. I think the biggest change is whether or not you upgraded the robots. If you didn't upgrade the robots, the whole region just turns to chaos. But
if you upgraded the robots, you then have a Pax Robotica.
Yeah, I mean, in either you controlling it or House controlling it, it's neither situation becomes unbearable, really, by the looks of things. I mean, it's better with you in charge, I think.
Yeah, probably.
So the next mission that was really interesting from the Legion side of things was killing the president.
Right.
Because you remember when you do it as NCR, or even independent, there are all these different plots going on at once to kill him.
Yes.
There are lots of different ways you can try and kill the president. There's even a soldier who has his helmet off. You can go find his helmet and rig it to explode and give the helmet to the guy. And he'll be standing near the president and explode. What I did, and I'm quite proud of this, was I waited until the president started giving a speech and I activated Archimedes 2.
Oh, gosh. Now that was probably awesome.
This is as close as you get to setting off a nuclear bomb like you did in Fallout 3, is using Archimedes 2. It was very satisfying. So much fire. So the ending itself you've both done the ending with Legion now, right?
And I have not done the Legion ending. So what does it tell you about the ending for the Legion?
Well, I was going to run through the final battle of Hoover Dam with the Legion. So naturally you approach from the other side this time. For the most part, it's as tough as the NCR battle. Despite the fact that I was running through with a level 20 character who basically liked to thump things with power fists, I ended up with a lot more special skills in this one. Like when I would go to attack someone in VATS, I had both an uppercut and a swing to the right, And I could not figure out. I got trained on how to do the Legionnaire run up and jump and smash things, but I couldn't figure out how to actually activate that. It didn't seem obvious to me. I think I may have been doing it just out of virtue of having the thing, but it wasn't obvious to me. So when you get to the halfway point, the legions have been trapped in the tunnels, and there are snipers on top of the dam, kind of blocking everything off. So you've got an option to go and unblock the tunnels and/or take out the snipers. I did both. Then, despite doing that, you still have to go through all the tunnel sections that were so difficult as NCR, and you get to the other end. You get to the final entry point where the general is, and they've got a freaking power shield up inside the room. So you got to fight your way through this maze to get past the power shield. Then they've got a room filled with absolute super elite rangers, and they're really tough to kill. And there's booby traps everywhere. One that almost killed me, crippled every limb. So I got that achievement in the very last part of the game.
That actually sounds tougher than the fight against the Legion.
In some respects, yeah. So, those super hard, heavy troops and rangers, they took several hits from my power fist, but the majority of them, like the regular ranger troopers, the ones with the cool hats, 2 hits from the power fist and they'd be down at my level 20 character. So finally, then you get to the last ending level, ending section against the general, and he's got probably about 10 heavy troops with him. And I said, "Screw this!" Pulled out my laser blaster, and went to work. But I killed him. You actually have to.
The alien blaster.
What?
The alien blaster, you mean?
What did I say?
You said laser blasters.
Yeah, I said alien blaster. So you have to kill all of his troops to complete that quest. You can't just kill him.
Okay.
So you got to kill his guards as well. So then, when you've finally done that, you walk out, and the Legionnaire, he's like, "That was pretty awesome. We control the dam. Hopefully, we'll get to kill California at some point." And that's the end of the story. So, in terms of like the area, one of the first things you hear is that under the Legion, civilization is brought back to the people. Then the next paragraph is sort of long, and a vast majority of people were enslaved, and but significant numbers of people weren't enslaved. They were benevolently ruled over, which was an interesting choice of words. So, essentially, if you're a good Legion citizen, you're pretty much set.
And not female.
And not female,
Right.
I said good Legion citizen. Gosh, jeez. So a lot of the groups that you would typically not like the Fiends, they attempted to attack Makahlua, didn't entirely succeed. The Legion wasn't impressed and killed them all. Powder Gangers wiped out them, So I installed the Sheriff back into Prim, and he put up a fight, but eventually they got wiped out. The Great Khans were actually happy to get integrated, for the most part, into the Legion because they kicked so much NCR butt. They were very happy about that.
Even though all their women get enslaved.
Yeah. And the Boomers were left alone because of their show of power. They had their fully working bomber and they used that.
Right.
They also used their guns. I also fixed up Caesar's howitzer.
And what does that end up doing?
Well, as you're crossing the bridge, you can see it firing from the fort.
Okay.
And that that was pretty much it. There was a lot of different endings. So I went and looked on the wiki at someone who had decomposed all the different endings from the
Now, if you're
configuration
playing
files.
that way, did Vegas also falls to Caesar in this scenario because you've killed him?
Yeah, actually, I did something different this time. When the mission started, and maybe this was there last time, but I didn't notice, NCR emergency radio popped on. So I tuned into it, and I was listening to everything as the shit hit the fan. The Omertas took over the strip for Caesar. It was a blitz. Makahlua was getting attacked. Everything was happening at once. It was great. So I don't know. Maybe I missed it when I was playing through NCR. Maybe it's not there, but definitely when you're
if you're
attacking.
playing through NCR, keep in mind that you probably do the quest where you take the Omertas out of play.
Yeah. I know, but you would think that there would be some sort of... Anyway, the radio was actually broken. They kept saying that they had non-NCR assets in play, i.e. me, which was not quite true. And they kept saying the doctor is coming. Don't know what the hell that was meant to mean.
The doctor is coming.
And they were saying it like it was some sort of code word, like reinforcements were coming or something, but that clearly wasn't the case. So the Legion troops were far superior to the NCR troops on the bridge, which was definitely the opposite case when I was fighting on the NCR side.
Oh yeah, the Legion, cutting through the Legion troops when I played as NCR is like a knife through butter. They just go down.
Yeah, they were sniping. The NCR guys were sniping things before I could even get to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have that experience the first time I played through with NCR, but this time, yeah, the Legion troops easily took out the NCR. Easily.
And if you play the independent ending with the upgraded robots, before you even notice there's a problem, they just take everything that's moving out.
Yeah, you just walk behind them and everything's getting blasted. It's great.
Right.
Yeah. What was really glitched though, and I'm straining my memory now, but because you have to leave your friends outside Caesar's tent, when you activate the final mission, they're waiting outside Caesar's tent. They don't go with you, so you have to do the final chapter by yourself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
There's no. I don't think there's any way around that.
Well, we were talking about this last time we did the podcast, where if you're playing for Caesar, there's kind of a limited set of people you can have anyway. I think on the human side, you're pretty much, I guess, maybe you could take Lily, although she might object, but you could take her, and I guess you could take Raoul. He doesn't care.
I had an interesting problem. So we were talking about whether Caesar cares about the Brotherhood or not. So when we finished last time, I was talking about the White Glove Society. I went there. I couldn't convince them to join. Caesar didn't really care that much. But then he wanted to take out the Brotherhood. So I went there. I'd previously convinced Felicia Day to stay with the Brotherhood. So when I went in guns blazing, and mind you, this time I couldn't turn the turrets on.
Right.
Didn't have the science for that. So I basically used the pulse gun, the one that she said was so important, they said wasn't a problem. It was a big problem for them. But there's plenty of Brotherhood who aren't wearing power armor who are pretty much immune to the pulse gun, so I had to take them out the old-fashioned way. But after a while, Felicia Day was sort of like, hey, you got a problem with them, you got a problem with me. And she starts walking away. And I said, and she was carrying all my stuff. So I was like, you know what? I damn well do have a problem with you. Turned on my pulse gun, shot her in the back, took all my stuff back. Thank you very much. So in the end, I only had one companion, which was the dog, who was part Legion because I'd put Lupa's brain in it.
Oh, okay. So on companions, it's really tilted against playing that way.
Yeah, the Legion path
really
is not the main path of the game.
Just like you've got Boone, who's got an agenda to take out Legion, there really ought to be a companion who's got an agenda to take out the NCR.
Yeah, absolutely. The game is not balanced towards the Legion. It's definitely pro-independent / NCR content in the game. It's not a Legion game. They're meant to be the bad guys, for sure.
There were some cards that came with one of the special editions, and there was another character in there, I think, who was called Ulysses. And I think that may have been intended to have been a Legion companion, but he got cut. So
you think maybe it'll come in DLC then?
I don't know at this point if they'd go back and add something to the main game with DLC, but...
Well, you never know. It's hard to say. If you go back to Dragon Age, they added characters. And Mass Effect certainly added characters.
That's
Mass Effect
true,
2, rather.
Yes.
If you play Mass Effect 2 after, they released a bunch of extra characters, so, like the Thief and, what's his name, Zaid.
Yeah.
They're both added extra as DLC, so, if you go back and do another playthrough after you'd had the original game, you'd have those options that you didn't have the first time, so... Certainly they could add DLC where they're saying, go ahead, play again, here's a Legion guy.
If they added a whole bunch more Legion quests, it could be interesting. It's a much shorter game when you go... And I don't think it's just that I knew how to play it, but it's a much shorter game when you go with the Legion because you don't need to do as many side quests to get to the end. But I was impressed, really impressed, and this is like a very different to Fallout 3, with how well all the different paths get you to go everywhere. Like everywhere. Meet everyone, go everywhere, see everything. Yeah, the game really encourages you to explore the entire Mojave, and that was not the case in Fallout 3.
If you're siding with Caesar, there's a lot of that Mojave that you're not going to explore and a lot of quests that you're not going to do because obviously the NCR hates your guts or is just not happy with you. Or even if they're not unhappy with you yet, unless you're playing double agent style, there are quests you're just not going to be interested in doing.
Yeah, there are specific NCR quests you don't care about. Most of the quests are not really NCR specific, even though they're in NCR territory. I never once visited the Great Khans.
You could take out the Fiends in Vault 3, for instance.
Yeah.
That's kind of an equal opportunity thing.
Yep. Understanding the corruption of the strip is much more interesting with the Caesar side. I never visited the Great Khans. Basically, they were already dealt with by Caesar. They're already in Caesar's hands, so there's no point there. But and doing, I had to do all the business.
You could have visited them and done the drug running one, though.
Yeah, could have. Yeah, didn't.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, you can play if you know what you're doing and you pick the right quests. You can. I mean, I was at level 20, and I think I played pretty minimalistically. I didn't really go and do a whole bunch of stuff I didn't need to do. But I did need the various weapons that I got, like the pulse gun and the Euclid, the Archimedes 2 and the Alien Blaster. All of those weapons were absolutely essential. Taking out the president was one of the hardest things to do, just because I didn't have the tech skill to deal with the explosives or repairs or science or anything like that. I really had to do it with muscle, and those damn NCR snipers, they do a lot of damage.
Yeah, which is funny because if you play the independent way, you just hear over the radio that the president's been killed.
You can save him
without you.
Yeah,
You can save him. You can save him. What I'm saying is, if you decide to ignore that whole thing, you just hear eventually that he's dead.
Interesting. No, I never let him die. I killed him and I've saved him.
Yeah, playing the independent path, I just let it alone. I didn't go out there and do any of those quests, and he just got whacked.
No, I did that, and I was policing over the whole area, going, okay, where have you hidden things? I know this. Okay, if I was trying to assassinate him, what would I do? Snipers, the vertibird, somebody near the platform, and I checked all those places, and there actually was a guy who I think was actually Legion dressed up as a sniper on top of the one tower behind him, and if you didn't have a good enough repair skill, the vertibird would blow.
Yep.
But I managed.
Yep. And then there's a guy in the audience with a knife.
It's funny though, if you're playing on the NCR side or independent, and you just find the bomb on the vertibird, he gets out of there with none of the other things happening.
Yeah, because you can radio it in, and they're like, we're pulling him out.
Right, and then he's surrounded by a bubble and nothing happens.
Yep. Yeah, as soon as they're alerted to the threat, they run away.
Yeah, so this is not ending related. I have a question though. Has anybody done any of the powder ganger quests?
Trying to make, you mean the ones in the vault?
No, not in the vault. If you go to the correctional facility, when you start in Good Springs, unless you're playing
talk to Eddie.
the way you play.
Yeah.
But you end up, if you play that normally where you kill Joe Cobb, you end up with them not liking you. But you can go to the NCRF and you can convince them, if you have high enough speech, to let you in. And then I managed to upgrade my standing with them in the playthrough that I'm in the middle of, from vilified to merciful thug.
Yeah, there's a couple of quests you can do for them before it gets to the point where they want to try and break out of there, or when the NCR is going to come get them. And at that point, you can just...
Right, NCR is going to jump in, yeah.
And at that point, you can decide either to stab them in the back or help them.
Well, or you can do neither. I actually just ran outside and fast traveled out.
They're coming by.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I did.
Okay, bye, thanks.
On your own. Although that actually introduces an interesting thing. When I came back later, the NCR hadn't attacked yet. It was like it had put it on hold until I decided to do something.
Yep.
Welcome to games. The universe is on hold just for you.
Now, I would say that taking the Legion path through the game exposed me to fewer crashes than the NCR path.
Really? Is that because you just didn't get as deep in the game, so things didn't bog, or?
Well, I suspect there's some sort of, the longer you play the game, the more crap is going on, and it just
there's
piles up and eventually crashes.
more quest flags and crap it has to keep track of.
Yeah. Well, so it sounds like we've now covered pretty much all of the endings.
Yep, that's all of them. That's the game in a nutshell. I was talking to some friends about Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas, about which one's better, what's the differences, and I've got to go back to this point that New Vegas is so populated. It's just so much stuff everywhere. You don't have to go far to get from A to B. And I remember when the game was coming out, they said that you had to walk everywhere. There was not going to be any mounts, and there was going to be fast travel, but no mounts or anything like that. And remembering Fallout 3, how far things were.
Yes.
I was worried about that, but
not just far. You remember there were plenty of places where you could only get to them by doing convoluted pathways through the subway system.
Right. And ultimately, that's not the case in New Vegas because things are much closer. Everything has a fairly direct route.
Although there are a couple of oddball locations that honestly, if you didn't pick Explorer, you probably are only going to find by accident.
Okay, let's talk about some of the weird places you've been.
Like Chance's map, it's not even a big location. It's a rock.
It's a rock
Yeah.
with this
It's got
thing,
crap in
with
it.
that stuff, like a map thing with stuff stuck in the ground. Unless you happen to decide to go the north way or northwest way to come into New Vegas, you're not going to see that.
Yeah,
I
you just never see it.
had some really weird Wild West perk, right? When that fires off, you see a question mark ... and you hear the alien music. Yeah. So many times that happened, and I'd look around, and there was just nothing. Just nothing going on.
I think it just means that there's something happening that wouldn't happen otherwise. Maybe, like when you meet the aliens, for instance, if you didn't have it on, they wouldn't be aliens. They'd be
I know,
raiders.
but like, for example,
You'd get a tri-beam laser.
on the assault on Hoover Dam, as I walked out of the Legates camp, it happened, and I'm looking around, there's nothing going on at all.
That's one where you'd probably have to go to the Wikia and have somebody who's played much more than we have, which is kind of scary, who would know exactly what that is.
Well, you two talk about it. I'm going to go look up that stuff and see if I can figure out what it was.
I don't know. I mean, I was going to bring something up that was completely unrelated to Fallout New Vegas, and that is there were a bunch of videos I was watching this morning. Fallout 3 Rebirth. Have you seen that, Mackie?
No. Only...
It's from Machinima. It's a set of videos. I guess they're putting them out, I don't know, every so often, every few weeks or months. They're basically full out, I guess they're doing basically Fallout 3 mods and filming them as a game, as video. And they've put up a thing where they have a little girl, a 10-year-old girl who's in a private vault, who finds her way out into the world, and it's set 20 years after the Lone Wanderer has come and gone. And it looks like they've decided to set this whole video series up with the Commonwealth having taken over the Capital Wastelands. So it's interesting. The whole setup is different. You've got what they call the New Republic in there, and there's New Republic money, which is an awful lot like NCR money, except that there's a whole lot more troops running around, and they've got a curfew established, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. It's just, I was almost wishing that it was a TV series because I wanted to catch up on lots of episodes, but there were only like 5 of them.
Huh. Too bad it wasn't a comedy.
No, it wasn't. It's actually done for Sirius, and if you search for Fallout 3 Rebirth, you'll find them.
I found it, and it wasn't obvious to me, but now it sort of makes sense, and I remember hearing the line. So, in the final part, and I was telling you about the NCR emergency radio, I was listening to that, and one of the guys says, "They're coming out of the damn walls," and another line was like, "Game over, man."
Oh, right. It's homage to movies, yes.
Yeah, to aliens. So that's I remember thinking that was pretty funny at the time. It didn't clue into me that was the Wild Wasteland trait.
Okay, and that's because I guess the developers at Obsidian had a disagreement over what was and wasn't serious or not serious.
So my biggest gripe for the whole game: no nuclear bomb.
You mean no big one or not enough mini nukes?
No big one at all. Anywhere.
I know, I kept thinking, why didn't we find one in Nellis?
In where?
At the Air Force Base. Wouldn't they have had ones to put on
Nellis,
the planes?
yeah.
Or had they scrambled everything, I guess, maybe. I don't know.
Well, there are planes at McCarran. Now, obviously not operational, but there are planes on the ground there that look like they've been there for 200 years.
Yeah, but they probably wouldn't be loaded with nukes.
No, they wouldn't be loaded with anything. They would have been raided probably a long time ago. But yeah, there's very little in the way of that kind of ammo. Actually, I found more missiles the last couple of playthroughs than I did the first, but a lot of the big stuff, it's hard to find.
Yeah, missiles just aren't, if you can't take out a Deathclaw with a missile, what are you going to use it on?
Oh, I know. The first playthrough, I got Annabelle by going up Black Mountain, and I thought, good, now I'll finally be able to take out a Deathclaw. And the frickin' thing seemed to bounce clean off.
Yeah, they're immune to everything.
Yeah, the only thing that takes them out is sniping from a distance and the alien blaster. If you don't have the alien blaster, God knows what you do.
Or Arcade's plasma defender thing, because I had run past there with a lower level character who I had him with me, and it was going right through that thing. I mean, it took him like 6 or 7 shots, but he was actually getting through the damage threshold.
Oh, okay.
There was a funny one that I saw at the Cottonwood Cove, scrawled on the side of the building. Romanus und Domus, which is a reference to Monty Python. Romans go home.
Means you too,
I thought that was
Legions.
pretty good. So, yeah, I mean the most important thing with the Wild Wasteland encounter is obviously the alien blaster. That makes
the rest
game.
of it's all just a handful of funny lines, and half the time you don't even notice what it was.
Yeah, and I think the alien blaster is, if you're playing on hardcore without Wild Wasteland, without the alien blaster, and you don't play every quest that you can to get to level 30 and get all the experience and everything. So you don't do what I did, which was try to rush through. And without the alien blaster, you really need to play absolutely everything.
I would think that if you're playing hardcore, you probably just want to avoid the death claws completely.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
but there are other nasty things.
Although I will say that I did, as I mentioned on the podcast last time we did this, by going up those ramps, I was able to avoid taking any damage from them at all.
But I wouldn't mind trying to use Archimedes 2 on the death claws. I haven't, because they kind of stand around. You can see them in the distance, so why not?
Yeah, that might be cool.
But the problem might be if it doesn't kill them, you might want to have that alien blaster just in case.
Just in case. Okay. Well, I think we've covered the whole game now.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird that I feel like I played Fallout 3 for longer. But maybe I didn't, because this time we talked about the whole thing in a podcast.
Yeah, well, there's also, when I started playing Fallout 3, it was after the Game of the Year edition came out, so there was a bunch of DLC I also got to play, and at that point there'd been a year plus for the modders to make a bunch of mods. So, give it 6 months and you'll probably be playing it again for a long time.
Yeah, the DLC was pretty cool. I would say that I bought each piece of DLC as it came out with Fallout 3, and I never felt that any of the DLC was as good as the main game. At the time when I was playing the DLC, I was still exploring the wastes. And I think the most important DLC was the one that allowed you to keep playing afterwards.
Broken Steel.
Yeah.
And the thing is that Fallout 3 never really wrapped up nicely, whereas New Vegas does. That everything has changed.
They said very clearly before the game came out that they were definitely going to have the game wrap, and they were not going to do a Broken Steel thing this time.
Well, they don't need to, because the story finishes quite nicely. Right. It has a conclusion, and if you didn't like the way it concluded, then just do it again. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, and the deal.
I don't know if we're meant to wait another. How many years was it between Fallout 3 and New Vegas?
Oh gosh, it was Game of the Year 2008, wasn't it?
So not too long, because they already had their code base, and this is just more like an expansion almost.
But how long do we have to wait until Fallout 4?
Depends on how. Well, Bethesda's working on something, but I don't know if it's Fallout again or if it's something else. If they're going back to Elder Scrolls or something.
Yeah, maybe a new Oblivion or something.
No.
Oh, well, I guess we'll see. Back to you, James. What were you saying?
So you have to mute himself again.
Oh, we've lost James again. He's muted himself again.
I've muted myself again, yes. That was completely accidental this time. I was just going to ask, all I was going to say is I think, at this point, the only thing that comes to mind really doesn't really have anything to do with this game, except I'm hoping that none of the DLC decides to add zombies. I mean, partly we've already got them with ghouls, but I've been playing Modern Warfare Black Ops. There's a zombie option. The latest DLC for Red Dead Redemption is zombies.
Well, hang on. You're talking about you played the single-player Black Ops. This is sort of off topic here, but why the hell would you bother? The entire game is multiplayer.
That might be. I'm just saying there's a zombie option. I'm not even talking so much about Modern Warfare.
Look, if I want to play zombies, I have Left 4 Dead 2, which is pretty awesome. So.
Right. All I'm saying is I'm hoping there's no DLC for Fallout New Vegas that involves zombies. We've already got ghouls. We don't need them.
Well, so the first DLC that's coming out, quote-unquote Xbox exclusive, which just means they're selling it there first, is a dead town. Now, there's some wording. Hang on, I just grabbed the information on the DLC here because there was a nice little pun play on words with poker. Now, where is dead money? Dead money. So, if you're playing poker, dead money refers to any time you've bet and you don't have a hope. And it also specifically refers to people you bring along to play the game who are crap and their money is going to be yours. So it's dead money anytime they bet. So in this case, they've got a town called Sierra Madre, I think. And it's a resort casino that never got to open. So, and it's filled with ghouls. Or they're calling them ghost people, whatever the hell that means.
So it's zombies.
No. They've got glowy eyes. I think they're ghosts. Well, they say they're ghosts in hazmat suits, so I guess if you pop the hazmat suit, they're dead. they're trapped in the hazmat suit. It's kind of neat.
If they start eating brains, that's when I'm bailing.
Yeah. But I wonder, when... Actually, I've got a question. There was a Brotherhood of Steel bunker near Camp Forlorn Hope.
That's the Brotherhood of Steel's. Is that their safe house? I think that's the safe house bunker.
It can't be because they've got another spot somewhere else.
Okay. Oh, you know what? Maybe it's. I know which one you're talking about. It's near the Grand Canyon, right?
Yeah, but I've never seen a way to open it, and what
they give you a key. If you become a member of the Legion and you do all of their quests the right way. Oh,
right. Yeah, I never actually finished that off because I got close to this run through, and then Caesar was like, "Get rid of them." So.
Yeah, you can get a key from them eventually.
Maybe I should go back and do that.
There you go.
But there is inside that bunker. There is a poster talking about Sierra Madre.
Oh, okay.
And so that's kind of foreshadowing the DLC. So the question is, are there other hints to DLC in New Vegas already?
That's a good question. Not like I paid enough attention to notice.
So I've got some notes here on the wiki. They're saying the Burning Man walk, the Burned Man walks.
Oh, the Burning Man. I assumed that was. I guessed they were going to do something with that. The other one, of course, is I think we're all pretty sure there's going to be an Area 51.
If they don't make an Area 51 DLC, they're clearly not listening because everyone wants it. We want wacky alien weapons from Area 51. That's full stop.
And there's that whole thing where there's that pass that's closed off to the north, which is probably going to the Sierra Madre thing. And then there's also a little alcove over somewhere closer to Good Springs that has the things about Courier 6 go home and all that. What is that?
Yeah, that's... Yeah. Have you been up there where it says Courier 6 go home? Have you seen that sign?
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
and that was...
Gotta refer. There's a whole backstory there. Remember when you talk to them in Prim?
Because you don't know who you are, right? And you've just gone everywhere. You've gone everywhere over the Mojave. Everywhere. And no one recognizes you?
Well, no, but there's that guy who was supposedly going to carry your package, says, no, let Courier 6 have it.
Yeah. And then the guy you talk to kind of implies that you two have a history. I mean, maybe this is just a plot thread that they dropped, but then again, it could be DLC.
So I think, maybe some DLC to find out where you're actually from and find out why that guy knew that it was a bad job. And then there's also the area on the west side of the map underneath Jacobstown. That is, there's nothing there.
Yeah, I've looked in the editor, and it's just blank space with a height map. The road that leads out from Mojave actually ends after it gets out of viewing distance, just up against some rocks, and that's it.
Yeah, so I think maybe there as well. So there's some hints as to the sorts of DLC we're going to be looking at. I can't say I'm particularly thrilled with the idea of having to wait longer to get the DLC just because I'm on PC.
Yeah, that's just...
I mean, what's the deal? It's not like saying it's exclusive to Xbox is actually going to get them more sales.
Well, I'll be able to let you know how it works out.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, thanks.
You can do those episodes by yourself, I think.
Let's do a monologue about what's going on in Sierra Madre.
Or we could just wait till it comes out on PC, so it might be a while before we do another episode.
It would be a long while.
There is that.
Actually, it'd be interesting if people start doing kind of full content quest type mods that are, worth mentioning. Then we can enjoy those and steal James's Mac so that he can't play them.
Good luck with that. I'll be in Dallas.
What?
Okay, when that gets to TSA, will take it for us.
There we go.
Unless you want to opt out.
Well, I think on that note.
Yeah. Well, we could try and say it at the same time that. But I don't know what we're going to say. But I think that's the end of Fallout New Vegas proper. So that's the end of our playthrough diary proper.
And we'll be back when there's DLC to talk about.
Or some really cool mod mix.
And some really cool mods, that's right. So when the content comes, so will the podcast. So stay subscribed, and eventually we'll be back.
Yep. Until then, happy times.
Happy times.
Got feedback? Send it to jarober@gmail.com or visit the website at jarober.com/blog/fnv.ssp.